All right, good evening. Hope everyone's doing well. I'd like to welcome you tonight. First, I'll introduce you to my co-host, Rambling Canuck.
Hey, Cap, how are we doing tonight?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Got the new headset in, so now hopefully my sound quality is better.
Well, let's hope so, and eventually you'll get to show it off.
Yeah,
And then,
eventually.
of course, our guest of honor is Vance Major with No Budget Productions.
What's up, man? How are we doing?
Doing all right. So you had the opportunity to see our review of your movie.
I did.
So, how would you react once you to what we had to say?
Well, I have to say I enjoy the fact that you guys take the time to actually watch the movies. And it's memory lane for me is kind of an understatement. Well, let's go through what you guys think. And then it'll kind of hit back some of the thought processes. It was kind of fun seeing Royce back at that age. Man, he's so young.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. So for me, when I watched this film, what I liked about it was
The shaky cam.
no. Shaky cam is my pet peeve. But what I liked about it was how you told the story of the hero turning to a coward, slipping into madness, and you did it very subliminal. It wasn't really in your face; it was more subliminal, and if you blinked, you missed it. And
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting aspect to it.
Well, when I had done this, with the few people who had seen the first one, they really wanted to go back and see what had happened with that character and whatnot. And I really didn't have much of a desire to go back and do that until I had a proper story. And you and I had talked a little bit yesterday, rambling about the review and the story and everything. And I had talked about my son. When you first become a father, they tell you about you hear about it's kind of lovey-dovey relationships and it's fatherhood is so great and it's this and you're just so it's such a great experience and but you're not really prepared for the screaming childness of what fatherhood is. You go do something and then you hear the wah, and then you fix what's going on and then you go back to what you're doing and then you wah, and you're like, oh damn it, and then you go back to the kid, you fix the bottle, you change the diaper, and you go back to what you're doing, and then wah, and you're like, oh dang it, so I that kind of inspired this film and the frustrations of fatherhood. Not that I don't love my kid, because of course I do. Honestly, my kid's kind of my best friend. I love playing with Royce and doing everything with him. I live for my kid. But at the time, it was really hard because all I'd ever heard was the good things about fatherhood, not the frustrations. So that kind of inspired this. And I thought, well, what about, everybody in the zombie apocalypse, everybody wants to be like Rick Grimes or Daryl or shoot, I forgot who that Asian guy was. That really cool guy. The guy was in the first episode, the one that got beat up by the bat. I forget what his name was, but he was one of my favorites in The Walking Dead. But like everyone wants to be those guys because they're like the heroes, the really cool guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what if I was to tell a story about just a coward, a guy who's not the hero at all. And we can start off the film with a guy who, kind of the same character who's in the first one, but maybe he takes up maybe strangers and is with them and becomes kind of the father of this kid, and he's with the woman, and they're survivors now. And then almost instantly, like in the next scene, he's like, oh shit, the zombies are here, fuck this, I'm leaving. And he dips off and leaves. And then the ramifications of not being the hero, of kind of being the faker, the loser, that's interesting to me. Because everybody, they want to be the Rick Grimes, but what happens if he kind of happens to be the Negan of the story, and to me, I found that a lot more interesting than anything that I could have come up with, trying to be a hero. So I started writing, and I reached out to Crystal, who played the girlfriend slash wife character in that story, and she loved that idea. So we actually recorded that when we were up filming a Star Trek film, and so it all kind of just fell into place. So.
Yeah, and I definitely get it from the father aspect, because and then you mentioned the kid, and then the woman, she'll give you grief, so you have 3 points, and then working on top of it, then you've got your boss giving you grief because you look like the Walking Dead, because what they also forget to tell you is babies don't sleep for the first 2 years.
Yep.
Right. So, they just minor things they forget to mention, and you're lucky, baby goes to bed for an hour. The difference is baby only sleeps when in daddy or mommy's arms. The minute you put them in the crib, and I don't care how sound asleep they are, the minute you pull them away, they start screaming because they know, and don't know how they know, but they know.
Right.
So yeah, I can totally get that.
I tell you the thing, and you and I touched upon this yesterday when you and I had talked. But it was the scene where I had, it's only audio, but Crystal had done such an amazing performance on, the screaming for, come back, don't leave us here, that type of audio. She had done such an amazing job, but she had done 6 takes of that type of line. And she sent it to me while I was here at work, and I waited to listen to it till I was driving home. And it was about maybe 3 minutes of audio that I listened to, all 6 takes, took about 3 minutes. And as I'm listening to it, I'm like, okay, I like this take, but damn, that was really tough to listen to. And then I listened to the next time, I'm like, okay, I like this take, but damn, that's also hard to listen to. By the time I get to like the 3rd take, like my heart's breaking, because I'm imagining my son getting eaten by zombies, because I'm a very visual person. When I hear something, like I visualize it, and my heart's breaking at this moment. So I'm like, oh, this is terrible. By the time I get to the 4th one, like I'm tearing up, because I'm like, I can't do this. Like this, I'm driving down a back road that has no lights, because the road I drive to get home is a dark road. So it's setting the mood up, sadly, for what I'm listening to, and I'm visualizing what I'm seeing. I'm like, this is terrible, Yeah. So I struggle through the last 2 takes, and I'm like, okay, I think I'll take the 4th one or the 3rd one. They're all good, but I'll just pick one. I'm done. So I took like 2 weeks off, like not going back to filming, because it was such a difficult emotional thing. Just thinking about like what I was actually doing in the film. But it was such a great take of her for an actress to do. She did a really wonderful part for what we had written. So shout out to her on that. I thought she did really wonderful. But
yes, absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
So here's a question. Looking back now, so you've made many more films since then.
Yes.
So looking back, if you had to either add something or record something differently, if you were to make that same movie right tomorrow, what would you change and why?
Well, I don't think I would change much of anything on it because it's obviously a a flawed movie. But again, the story's not necessarily about zombies, even though it's a zombie movie. It just takes place, the zombies are always just the setting for the film. So when I tell people, I'm like, yeah, I made a zombie movie, and they're like, oh man, this is great. I'm like, but there are no zombies in it. It's always about the story of the character. Now, the next film that you guys will be watching, there are actually zombies in that. So I think, I'm gonna throw everyone's expectations out the window and actually put zombies in my zombie film. That's but for this one, the story was mostly what I was going for, and I think I hit the nail on the head for what I was going for. This was in the same vein as what I was going for in the first one, which was, tell a, kind of a first person. He's talking to the camera because it's all he really has left. He's kind of losing his mind. He's not the hero. He's got the grief, the guilt. And at the end of the movie, he loses his mind because he can't come to terms with what he's done. He's lost, not only the people, the last people that he loved, but it's his fault that they're gone. So it's, I know the shaky cam wasn't your, the highlight for you. But like the one thing I brought up to you yesterday when you and I were talking about this was like, when I'm during the scene where her and the baby is eaten, I'm running with the phone in my hand. And the thing about that is, like, I don't run. I'm a very large person, so I like, one, I don't run. I waddle. Two, I have a cell phone in my hand. So, of course, it's going to be very disorienting for anybody watching that. It's that was kind of done on purpose. Not saying I was wiggling my hand to get extra shaky. But that's kind of just part of the charm. Of the shaky cam, but that's it's you kind of know what you're getting when you watch.
Well, absolutely, and like I said in the review, that's on me, not on you, because it's
Right.
just it's just shaky cam,
right.
But
now, obviously,
it's even worse when it's like a multi-million-dollar industry doing it, not somebody on a cam.
It's definitely different when you've got this. It's a paid for effect versus somebody on a cell phone.
Yeah,
right. Now, obviously, I wouldn't if I had put it on because I have a tripod now, which obviously, one of my editors, the guy who did the 11th Hour, his Jason Spriggs, he bought me a tripod, and I love my tripod. I use it whenever I can, whenever it's appropriate. But going back to this film, if I had my tripod when we shot the next zombie film, I would have used it. Sadly, I didn't have it at the time. Otherwise, I would have. But with this film in particular, it simply doesn't apply because it's not. I'm using it as the camera is a diary. It's keeping track of things. So I don't think I would have changed anything because for what I was going for was story, and I think I told pretty much everything that I wanted to say. Especially with he goes and raids that one house and he ends up finding baby food, which is again more guilt for shit, I got the baby killed. Little things like that. It was a nice exploration of guilt, where the first film with this character was an exploration of love and losing that love. With this one, it's a different exploration of a character, and then, like you said, going into the mouth of madness. So I don't really think I would change anything. Some people like the film, some people don't. It's a taste issue,
Right.
So
let me ask this.
Sure.
Having seen our reaction to the video, are there any things that you would say that maybe our perception was a little different than you had intended for the audience watching it to be, or that you were surprised by?
No, the one thing that it's always, audience always has a different, take on for what you give. Like, the thing I enjoy about like you guys critiquing the films is you guys always go in and you watch it from, whatever perspective you guys have. And as a filmmaker, I always have a certain stance, and I'm like, this is my perspective, and there you go. There's the film. It is what it is, and it's out there.
Mhm.
And you guys look at it, and you guys are like, well, this is what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing. And I love that. Even if it's because when you start getting to the Star Trek reviews, I will say, I've made some films that even I don't like. That just don't work from a technical perspective, where it's like, this is what I was going for. From a story perspective, this works. From a technical perspective, I just didn't know what I was doing at the time. Or you can't really hear what they're saying. It just doesn't work as a film. I tried, it didn't work, and I'm not afraid to admit that. The thing with these is I like sitting there watching you guys sit here and say, this is what I liked about it. This is what I didn't like about it. And when I sit there, like for Ramblin', I really enjoy when he picks up on like the little things, and I'm like, he got it. I dig that because
Right.
I know with a lot of my films, sometimes I put little subliminal things in there, and when people pick up on that, I'm like, it was worth it. Because for me, I don't have any type of budget. I never have any type of gloss or hardly any special effects. So for me, if I don't, if my Easter eggs don't pay off, well, then I'm just the guy who does random stuff for nothing. So no, I like seeing what you guys, what your take on it is. Because I mean, if you sit there and watch it and you're like, it was 10 minutes wasted. Oh shit. Well then, damn, but I mean, if you sat there, watched it, was like, I may not have enjoyed it. It may not have been, as good as Scream.
Oh God!
What? You
Any
guys don't
movie
like
you've
Scream?
made is better than Scream.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my Lord.
But I mean, if I made a film and you guys are like, well, it may not have been the best, but at least I don't feel like I wasted my time. Well then, okay, that's a good deal. But I enjoy seeing what your guys' reactions are, no matter what the reaction is, good or bad. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. It just helps make me a better filmmaker.
So now I'll ask the off the wall question.
Sure.
So in the last film we reviewed, you had let your den go to hell for like 2 weeks, or
no,
3
it was
weeks.
like 6 months.
Yeah. So you'd
Yeah.
let your den go to hell, and then you really didn't end up using a lot of it because it was too dark to see any of it, so you really
Right.
didn't need to. Was there any moment like that in this film where you had prepped something, gone over it, and then it never made the cutting room off the cutting room floor?
No, in fact, with this, there was a lot more improv. I let my beard go. I didn't shave for a long time. And every time I needed to film, I just kind of brushed my beard up so that it would kind of puff out. My grass outside my fence, I kind of let the grass kind of grow above so it would kind of cling onto my fence and give it the, I think it's when I say, so here I'm outside Longview or something like that. So it kind of gives that kind of destroyed look, kind of like it's been months since we saw the character last. So I tried to do those type of things to give it that illusion that it's been a while boarded up. The trailer court that I live in has some vacant trailers, and I use those, like I went outside those places to give the place that it looked like it had been hoarded up from zombies trying to be secure, and it just collapsed and failed. So No, it was nothing. I never went to the extent that I did in the first one because this is like I have a lot around my complex that kind of lends itself to, the end of days. So, um, yeah, like it wouldn't like if we had people who cosplayed as zombies, it would be very easy to say, hey, just walk down the street. And then, depending on where it's at in my complex, it'd be like, hey, there we go. It looks like The Walking Dead, and it would fit right in. So,
Yeah.
I mean, from a distance, you could have a 28 days later with people running down the street, and it would be like, oh shit, they're coming. It wouldn't be very difficult to believe that we have the end of days just by walking down the street in my complex. So, yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Cap, I've been kind of hogging the air, so I'm gonna let you talk for a little while.
Oh no, I appreciate that a lot. No, are there any other insights as far as the either the movie or any of your other experiences you'd like to share right now, Vance?
There's a cemetery where I usually go to film. I filmed the cemetery, the one that was in this one. It's the same one that I go to for like when I go to visit in my Star Trek films, where I go to visit Emily's grave, or where Nancy is visited Eric's grave. That's a cemetery where I grew up. Um, they're friends of the family, so anytime I need to go film like a cemetery type place, like that's where I go to. So it's always nice to go back and kind of revisit. But no, it's like I've always been very fortunate whenever I need to film, any type of scenery. Like I never have to have much prep time. It's always just like, hey, come on, Royce, let's go film, and Royce just comes along with me, and we just go film together. So it's no, I liked how this kind of came out. I think the sirens, when this character's hitting his head and he's kind of like, is this in my head or is this real, or like what's going on? He's just chasing these sirens. I like that rock formation that's in the background. Like I think this just has some nice visuals.
So now the sirens, was that sound effect, or did you actually record the like? Oh, there's an ambulance going by. I got to record this, or was it just piped in sound after effect?
The sirens were those were sound effects.
Okay.
The cop cars, those sirens. Okay, so the sirens that were the
air raid siren, basically.
Yeah, those were sound effects. The cop car sirens, those were actual cop cars. Like as I was filming it, like 10, 11 at night on a Saturday night. And it just so happened, oh shit, cop cars are coming. I could just, again, as I'm improvising half the shit, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna act like I'm chasing them. I'm gonna, so I just incorporated that in there. Again, right. Like a lot of this movie was, I've got a gist of what I'm doing, and I'm gonna put this in here, and then, oh shoot, I'm gonna do this, So yeah.
And Kronos in the chat caught something, and I was gonna let it go, but I'll let you clarify. So when you were talking about the cemetery, you said that you grew up in the cemetery. Do you mean you grew up near it, or actually in the cemetery? Because that would be in childhood.
I'll rephrase it. I learned how to drive there. I was always hanging out in the cemetery as a kid. We'd always be over there. So like, yeah, I'd always hang out. I'd always hang out there. So
yeah, it was the place to be, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was
dying to get in there.
There you go, man.
There's the old dad joke for the night.
Hardy, har. Yeah.
There's the dad joke for the night, right?
Oh my god.
It's the most happening place. People are dying to get in there. Damn it.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. Oh goodness. So, what a my train of thought went. I went and jumped 6 tracks. Way to go, Robert.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead,
while you're
Cap.
thinking about it, you said that your son is involved in a lot of the uh, production that you've done. How has that changed over the years? Is he
What?
more involved or differently involved?
Oh yeah. Because this one, of course, he was with me, and I know you guys had asked why there wasn't like more of a scene with them and whatnot. Um, I I really didn't want him, like it was enough for me to have him in this small of a scene. I didn't want there to be any type of graphic.
Just so you know, if you got anything,
Hold on, just 1 second.
If you got anything in the QA fridge, they're cleaning it out this weekend.
Yeah, I know. So originally he had appeared in a Star Trek film that I was in, and then I had left Star Trek and was doing the zombie film, which he was around the same age, about maybe 7 months, 8 months, something like that. And so, I wanted him to, of course, be, if I'm doing a film, I'd like him to be involved in some way. And I was still kind of tiptoeing in, I don't want to shove this type of life and be one of those type of parents.
Right.
Now I'm like, come on, turkey butt, let's go. Cause I call him turkey butt. So now he's, let's go, dada, let's go, so, he's just as involved as anything. When I did the third film, he was, of course, with me, and we were doing stuff because I had to finish wrapping up on the film. So he was helping me with that one. And on a Star Trek film where I had to put blood on half my face, he mixed chocolate syrup with red food coloring to make the blood, and he helped put that on my face. And then when he saw the daily, he was like, "Oh, chocolate." And I was like, "Yeah, just chocolate." And he actually held the flashlight on my face as I'm inside the crippled Constar ready room, and so he knows like all this stuff is not real. But again, I don't want to traumatize the kid by saying, "Hey, here's a half zombie," so here you go. I don't want to traumatize my son. But so that was one reason why I didn't want him inside the movie. I didn't want him watching one of my films and going, "Oh, you had me get eaten." Like, "Oh, shoot," because he could watch this and not really understand it. Not that I'd have him watch a zombie film of mine.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff in my films are going to be suggestive, but how it's been with him is we did a Star Trek film called Much Afraid, and I actually was giving him direction. I said, "Hey, turkey butt, go run around that tree and daddy's going to chase you." And this is after I'd already set up the camera. And we started to run, and he stopped. He said, "No, dada, you run around there and I'll chase you." And I said, "Okay." So we did it, and it came out great. So that was the take that we actually used inside the film. And he's actually starting to give me direction, even though he's 3.5. We'll do something, and if we'll watch it again, and I'll be like, "You like that?" He's like, "No, do it again." I'm like, "Okay." Yeah, he loves the camera. He loves the camera. And so much like whenever I do a stream for Trey, or for Alec, or for just an interview in general with people, he'll come in the room and he'll get right up in front of the camera and he'll be like, "Hi." He loves talking to people, and he's familiar with you guys because from his perspective, he's grown up with all of you guys. He doesn't know any different. So again, not to be one of those parents that are like, "My kid's going to win the 2020, little kids award." I don't want to be like that, because it'll always be just fun. But if he's ever like, "Dad, I don't want to do this," hey, no problem, turkey, but don't worry about it. We're not going to, I'll continue and you do this. But I mean, he's got pictures of him on the bridge of every time we filmed on the sets. He's got a couple pictures of him on the bridge. He's got a picture of him in the shuttlecraft. He's got a picture of him in my ready room when we built the set ourselves in my den. And then when I think it's going to be next month, we're buying a shed that's going to sit right next to our house, and then I can clear out my den, and I'm going to make my entire den a complete multi-purpose room for my Star Trek stuff, and he's going to help me with that. So he's very interactive on my films. So this zombie one is just one chapter in that, so.
Wow, I'm looking forward to seeing these other movies that you've made. Not that I would have skipped the last zombie one, but which I'm looking forward to that, quite honestly. Yeah. But now, what were you going to ask, Bramley?
Oh, well, he actually answered it. So I was going to ask him if he's let the little one see this one yet.
No, I don't think. Realistically, I don't think I'd probably let him watch this till like maybe 13, 14.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll know that he's been in it, but I won't. The first one, I don't think I would, like, none of the zombie ones would, the superhero one I'd let him watch because of course it's a superhero.
Yeah, of course.
But this one, no, because
as a father myself, I was kind of guessing that much, but I figured I'd ask just to ask.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't watched this one probably maybe a couple months after I released it. I think, so that's why I say this one was kind of memory lane, because this one's kind of hard. Like, I love the ending for it and I love the story, but knowing the fact that, like hearing Crystal's screams and knowing that, it's, you kind of killed your kid,
Yeah. Just,
and it's really messed up, and it's, I mean, it's a good story, but it's just like, oh, damn it, so.
I'll let you take that one, Cap.
Actually, I was going to see if Vance might take that one.
Question: these zombies, brains, meat, or indifferent? These ones, they just eat. Because in the next one, there was a cut scene in the next film that didn't get actually put in, and it's just eating the flesh. So I would have to say it's just eating the flesh. So
yeah, they're on an all vegan diet. They only eat vegans.
There you
go. Canon according to Canuck. And
is there anything else you'd like to add before we go? Because I know you're busy there, Vance, but and I appreciate your time.
Oh no, I'm good, man. I've still got like 25 minutes. If anyone else has any other questions, anyone from the audience, or I'm good. So any other questions or?
Well, you have been doing. We'll move away from the film for a second, and we'll put you in the hot seat for a second. So you've been doing a lot of reviews with Cap and I.
Sure.
Have they had to put you in a rubber room yet for being with us too long?
No. The thing is, like, I do like I have a certain amount of, like, I don't get breaks at work, so I tend to just do what I do, and then nobody misses me. I'm not that important, so no. But rubber room, like, no, nobody misses me there either. So I'm just that's why I get to hang out with you good chaps. So
there's the first time I've ever been called that. I must be doing something wrong.
Oh, absolutely, because
I must be doing something wrong. Oh,
everybody else called you an asshole. So.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this: based on what you've seen so far, the third film is a departure from the first two. It's still part of the same series, sort of. Would you guys want to see another one done in this format if I were to do another one?
Yes,
because a few people have.
In the zombie, in the zombie genre or in the horror genre itself?
Well,
like
I have
continuation of this, or
see, the third film was supposed to it actually was a film, and it was going to be like a 40-minute, 50-minute film, and it had not only zombies, but it actually expanded the world. You saw my take on aliens, and it was going to have you as you saw people walking down, you saw the hand of a werewolf. You saw cult leaders, so you saw these people in weird robes. You saw like all these weird, like just Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, just creepy, just weird shit. I never got to get through the whole film because, as stuff started happening at work and, people started moving on to other things, like we just couldn't get a shot. So I only got about maybe a fifth of the film done. Out of 10 scenes, I got about 3 shot. So you only got about up to the aliens part, and then they run off. And I was like, well, man, I don't, hey guys, can we get together and film? So we couldn't get it done. So after about a year and a half of sitting on the footage, about a year of sitting on the footage, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and end this film. So when the film ends, you're like, oh, that was abrupt. And you can tell how I end it just abruptly. I'm like, yeah, I can't end this the way I want to, and I can't tell the story I want to tell. Screw it. I'm just going to end it this way. So when you watch the next one, you're going to be like, wait, what? That was out of nowhere. And that's so why.
I've got a scene for you for your next installment. As long as the main character doesn't get killed off. So don't spoil it, but as long as the main character doesn't get killed off.
Well, I'll tell you this. My character is in the next film.
Okay.
But it's kind of in there, and you're like, and then nothing happens, and you're like, wait, what? So he's just in there, and it was supposed to have a payoff at the end, but I never get to that. But I can't. See, you have to watch the next film.
Okay, so I got a payoff for you. See what you think about this, and then we'll ask Cronus this question. So now that your son's a little bit older, right?
Yeah.
You can get him dressed up, and your character is still in that world, and you could do the whole 6 years later or what have you, and he's been just getting by. And then he's walking through a park, and then your son comes across one of us. Hi, Daddy. And then he runs.
I'll tell you what. Watch the next film and then get back to me.
All right.
Okay.
And Kronos' question is, what is your favorite horror film?
Big Top Pee-wee.
That's considered a horror film? Wow, no, I'm really slow on the uptake on that one.
No, I would have to say, honestly, I would have to say Event Horizon.
Okay.
Or In the Mouth of Madness, which nobody's ever heard of that, which is why I never start off with that one. Because that to me, if Sam Neill's in that one, and that's a great fucking movie. That one, I like every time I want to get laid by my wife, I'm like, hey, let's watch In the Mouth of Madness. And I've never been able to sit through that with my wife. I'm like, yeah. But I would recommend to anybody watch that movie because it is such a creepy movie. It's wonderful. But I would say Event Horizon. Okay. is a great movie. Well, that's the movie like everybody knows and will recognize, or at least most people should. But I would say In the Mouth of Madness is probably my guilty pleasure horror movie, because the story is so rich, and I'm like, yes, I love this. It's so different. So
where do you watch that at? Since most people haven't heard of it.
I have it on. I had it on VHS. I had it on DVD. I don't know. Because I don't watch movies. I never watch TV. I sit at work all night and I listen to documentaries all night. Like I listen to documentaries. I really don't do much. I listen to podcasts or documentaries. So I don't really watch much TV these days. So it's been, I'd say probably 10 years since I've watched it maybe 10 or 15 years, but I mean, I've got it on DVD. I mean, hell, if you give me your address, I'll send it to you and you can watch it. So because once I get
for your channel.
once I get my storage shed, I plan to put all my DVDs in a big old box and just put them in the storage shed. So I mean, if you want it, I mean, just send me your address. I'll ship it off to you, man. I don't. If you return it, you return it. If you don't, and I'll sweat off my sack. So. Yeah.
And Kronos from the chat agrees with you that Mouth of Madness is a good one.
Dude, you've seen it? Oh my, Kronos, you are now my favorite commenter on these. Like you are awesome, dude. Wasn't it that old lady that chops the husband? Wasn't that creepy? Like, even though I know that was like she was such a sweet old person in Happy Gilmore, or was it Happy Gilmore? Yeah, like that was Happy Gilmore's grandma or whatever. Like, she was so sweet, but like she is such a mean old bitch in that movie. Like, oh my god. Like, especially when she kicks the husband. Like, what the hell, Granny? Like, what? Oh man. Like, oh, creepy movie.
You know, in the horror film genre, just because I like your storytelling, I'd love to see your spin on a have you ever watched Stephen King's Misery?
No.
Okay. Then this is gonna be even harder than I can expect. Basically, long story short, it's the old trope of writer gets into a car accident, saved by number one fan. Number one fan goes a little psycho, and he's tormented by his number one fan because now his number one fan has him there. And in his last book, he killed off her favorite character. So now she's going to make him rewrite the book. So just it would be interesting to see your spin on it and where you would go with something like that.
So that would be the equivalent of like somebody saving my life, and then they're like, "Well, Vance, you got to bring Eric Menard back to life."
Yeah,
because
Yeah, exactly.
So let me get this straight. So I'm driving to Captain Trek's house, and you saved my life, Ramblin', and now I got to bring back. Okay, so I'm writing this film now. So I got
there you go. See, I'm not completely.
And Kronos can tell us if it's a good movie or not, because he's got good taste in movies. So all right.
There we go. Yeah.
I like
Kronos,
it.
believe it or not, he's an awesome guy. He can be an asshole, but he's an awesome guy nonetheless.
I believe it. Good taste in movies. Good taste in movies. I like it. So, any other questions or comments that we got going? Because I'm excited for next week. I can't wait to see what you guys think on my take of aliens and actually seeing a zombie in my films. Because like for me that was a real treat, because I did all of the makeup in the film. I did all of it, and I was like, yes, I get to do makeup, because I had never done makeup before. So this was my I get very excited about trying new things, even if I'm not very good at it. So I'm very excited about next week's little shindig. So
yeah, absolutely.
And then I can't wait to see what you guys think of the ending, because
yeah. Well, we've kind of been prepped for it, so.
Well, see, that's the thing. We don't watch the movies until we're reviewing them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there is no. Oh, we're always surprised. So you see our reaction at the time,
and I dig that.
Pre-watch that, and I do that intentionally.
And I dig that. I'm excited for that, and then the superhero one I got, because the superhero one I think is probably one of the most accessible movies I got, and it's just like, man, I think that's probably one of my favorites that I've done, because again, like anything that's outside Star Trek. I mean, I've told some good Star Trek ones, but my superhero one I think is just like, oh, it's different. It's so simple, but it's different, But
But yeah, overall, I want to take the time to say thank you for putting up with us and agreeing to come on with these and letting us, share your videos, and also personally, I want to thank you for being the third person on the round table reviews that we've been doing so far, and it's a fun part of my week, and I just want to thank you again for agreeing to be on those, because that's not even your films, and you're agreeing to be on the show, and I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, dude, like I've told you before, man. Like I do them even if nobody watched them, just because it's like, to me, it's like it's me and two friends that get to geek out and do something we enjoy doing, and the fact that we kind of get to put that to film, and put it out there for other people. If other people listen to it, hey, great. If not, hey, cool. I can go back and listen to it and be like, oh, that's what that chucklehead said. Oh man, it's, to me, I just like hanging out with you guys, and if other people enjoy it, great. If they don't, that's okay too. So I mean, I love hanging out with you guys. So my pleasure, man. To both of you guys, thank you for having me. So.
I do appreciate that. Thank you. And that's the thing. I like that when we do hang out, it's just we can be honest, even when we don't agree.
Yeah, I mean that's like I hate those guys that are stuck up, that are like, well, if you don't like my movie, you got to kiss my butt, or I'm not going to come on again. Yeah, I'm like, nah, man. If you're like, man, I like you, but this movie was a piece of shit, I'd be like, yeah, dude, wasn't it? I mean, you have no idea. Let me tell you. And just because I'd be like, dude, and these were the good parts of the movie. I got the cutting room stuff right here. I'll send that to you. I mean,
and knowing you would.
I would do, yeah.
I'll FedEx that shit to you.
Yeah, we'll review that next week. I mean,
exactly.
If you got to take yourself so seriously that you can't laugh at it and be like, shrug your shoulders. It's like that's you just. Fuck off, So no, I love both you guys, man. It's good times, man. And the fact that Kronos got on there and agrees with me about In the Mouth of Madness, that just made my night. So
there you go.
I'm walking on sunshine now.
Now you can't use the line that nobody ever gets it.
Right? Right? I mean, like, it's me and Kronos against the world,
Yeah, there you go. All right, Cap.
Well, thank you again, Vance, for coming on. I appreciate your time.
Not a problem.
And as always, we enjoyed watching your movie. Thank you.
Yep. Not a problem.
And Rambling, anything else you have to say in closing?
No, just thank you all for joining us, and thanks again to Vance and for Captain Trek for allowing me on this channel. And take her easy, folks.